Welcome to Kill Team Casuals, a podcast all about Kill Team filmed in 3 different time zones by 3 different gents. Enjoy.
The other thing we're going to do today, obviously this episode today is called Blood and Kroot. Basically, Russ, I've had to put out the Mayday call to you.
You did.
Because in April...
You held up that conch.
I'm heading up to Sydney to the Purge, and I'm looking forward to a big tournament 2-day tournament up there. Golden ticket event. I think there's 2 golden tickets, possibly, maybe 1. I don't know how it works. There's a golden ticket. That's all I know. It's up for grabs.
Got a golden ticket.
I'm not going to win it, but I'm going to still be there, and I'm going to do my best to get, I'm hoping that if I can finish like 83rd, that the 82 people ahead of me won't be able to attend Worlds and it'll trickle down to me. That's my plan. I'm going the trickle down effect.
It's going to happen to someone. Someone has to, someone has to get the ticket. I don't see why it couldn't be you as the 83rd choice.
Exactly. Like we're Australia sending our 83rd best player to the Worlds. But yeah, so I'm obviously heading up. We've talked on the show. The people voted. We voted, and we decided that I'm taking the Kroot. But I have not got a game in with them yet. So this is not helping my dreams of finishing 83rd.
This is not. Yeah,
it's not ideal. So I wanted to lean on you, and I want to lean on the chat to make. We're going to go through the rules. We're going to do a bit of a Us Reads book, because I also reckon out of so many of the teams, they don't have a lot of like guides and tips and tricks about them. A lot of people love them, but there's not a whole bunch of stuff out there if you are a Kroot enthusiast to sink your teeth in. So
a Kroot theist, if you will, to sink your teeth in, sir.
So I thought we would do our own version, and we will come through with our own how to play Kroot guide, tips and tricks that we can theorize going through it. And then
on the spot.
On the spot, we're doing it live.
We're just basically going to have the live conversation where you're like, Russ, I have no idea how to run Kroot. And I say, I have no idea how to run Kroot either. Should we look at the rules? This is going to be this. Yes. And we'll theory craft a winning formula.
You may even say at some point, actually, have you considered Vespids? You might just throw that in there, in the mix.
And I would never say consider Vespids. The more I play them, the less I think that they're viable.
that was. I felt like you cleaned up that word at the end there. You were like, they are. How do I not get?
I like them, but I shouldn't.
No. All right. So we're going to bring it up. Here we go. We've got the PDF live on the screen. And we're just going to walk through, and we're going to start spitballing, sharing thoughts. There you go. Samoa Matt, Jimmy Kelly took Kroot to second place in the tournament this weekend. So the key difference there is that he's good at the game.
Well, after this, if he pays attention, maybe he'll get first. You know what I mean? Just saying. He
might learn a thing or two.
He might learn a thing or two.
Tabletop War
Maybe
Masters.
we should have got Jimmy on.
Great to hear you will be up at Purge as well. Be lovely to meet you up there live and in the flesh. I'm looking forward to it. So we've got our team. We've got to look at the composition of the Kroot.
Oh, it's on the video as well. Look at that.
I was really prepared today. I was like, you what?
You were prepared.
We're taking up this live presentation. We're taking up at least a quarter notch. Not too much, just a little bit.
Turn it up to 3.
We're turning it up to 3. Yeah.
Turning up to 3, boys.
I didn't want to get too tired. So we've got our Farstalker Kinband Kill Broker. That's our leader. And he's had a little bit of a change. This is from last edition, not in this edition, but obviously not as many options with the weapons now. Either the Kroot rifle and Ritual Blade or the Pulse weapon and Ritual Blade. That used to be, there was 2 different Pulse variants you could sort of look at as well. But
yeah, so you're either taking the Pulse or the Kroot. I'm trying to look at them both to say.
Yeah, let's.
So the Pulse, it's weird. So it's more damage, but it's hitting on 4s, or you've got hitting on 3s, 3-4 damage.
And does he have any way possible to make that? Because is there a quick and easy way to negate that extra minus we're copying there to hits? Because he's got Call the Kill, which is letting him put out Balanced and Victory Shriek, which is after you kill someone. So do we want to be hitting better or hitting more powerfully when we do?
Yeah, hitting better or hitting harder. So the way it looks like, you're probably going to get 3 hits through on a 3-4 profile or 2 hits through on a 4-5 profile. I don't know. Much of a muchness.
Yeah, because you get, again, you get 1 regular through. It's the same as getting a crit through on the Kroot rifle. Interesting. This one may be a simple case of what I have modeled. And I think that I went Rule of Cool and I went the Pulse Carbine. Because
it is better.
Yeah, because I think in the previous edition too, it was shorter range, but it was better. And now obviously that's gone. They've combined the two.
So I think the only problem is I think they have more things that favor the Kroot rifle. For example, Toxin Shock, Piercing Shock. I think they have faction equipment that buffs a Kroot rifle, so it's another option to use. So you could get P1 on that 4 attacks hitting on 3. So I don't know. I think it's much of a muchness. I think you'll have to play around and figure out which is the best.
All right, but
Rule of Cool is always a good one.
Rule of Cool and not having to cut the gun off the poor model over the weekend. Then we've got 11 Farstalker Operatives. And they're very spoiled for choice. They have a lot of really, really cool specialists. Pretty much most of the team is specialists. There will be potentially what you're doing with the dogs and some different things. You've got a Bow Hunter, Cold Blood, Cut Skin, the Hounds, Long Sight, Pistolier, Stalker, Tracker, Heavy Gunner, and then obviously Warriors. And then other than the Hound and the Warrior, your team can only include each operative on the list once. And you can have a maximum of 2 Hound operatives as well. So interesting. And we know that there's definitely some play and some interesting things to do with secondaries and the Hounds. I think they are quite an important little tech piece. Definitely building that list will be interesting. We'll have to look at the operatives a little bit closer when we get to the data sheets, and that might help us work it out. Now, we were talking about this as well before. The archetypes, we've got Infiltration and Recon, so a little bit spoiled for choice. With those two, I actually think they're 2 of the stronger ones at the moment.
Sure, Recon. I think that's Infiltration with Implant's pretty good as well.
Implant's not a sneaky. Again, things like the dogs can do implant, so you could get them in and get cheeky chomps off. Because they're moving so fast. Interesting.
Recon's solid for them though. Because obviously it's the only team which I don't like recover item. Like I don't like recover item. I think it's objectively bad. But they do have the Kroot Hounds, which are quite good at getting them. But I still think even then, depending on the team, you're probably going confirm kill or plant beacons. Just because they're so like you control them. Whereas recover item you don't.
It makes me think too, like in my mind of minds, when you're going to a tournament, and we learned a little bit of this last week with when we were talking to our guest as well, like that thing of keeping it simple. So do you pick one secondary that is your secondary regardless of opponent? So it's like each game you go in going, I know if it's recover item or whatever that my Kroot Hounds, the one job they have to do is get that item. And if they do that, they've earned their biscuits for the day. Good dog, pat on the head. Or do we talked about too, like the confirm kill kind of style where you're like, you're playing elites. There's going to be a good chance, you're going to drop 1 elite if you focus in, and then you just keep getting those tokens because they're going to be worth. Because I think they're worth 2 if they're above 14 or 15 wounds or something.
Yeah, so you only need to kill 3 elites to 3 operatives over 12, I think it is. So 3 elites to get max on that, as long as you can take their tokens.
So it could be interesting. Could be interesting.
I think confirm,
I think I like, as you said, recover items not normally a good one, but with these guys with Kroot Hounds, the need for speed could be interesting.
Maybe.
So maybe we'll come back to that once we've started to assemble our team, because that might also dictate which operatives get in and out there as well. We've got some beautiful artwork there. So the faction rule, what the actual team gets to do. In the ready step of each strategy phase, you can change the order of up to 3 friendly Farstalker Kinband operatives that are not within control range of enemy operatives. So very handy, putting guys back into Sneaky Boy and setting things up. So it's not bad. And whenever it's your turn to counteract, you can change the order of one friendly Farstalker Kinband operative that's not within control range of enemy operatives. This still counts as your counteracting, so activation alternates back to your opponent afterwards, but doesn't count as that friendly operative's counteraction for the turning point. So basically, I guess it's saying you could have someone in conceal, spend one of your counteract turns to flip them to engage. Your opponent would get a turn, and then you could counteract shooting with that same operative you just changed. That's how I'm reading it, Russ.
Yeah, so it says it doesn't count as that friendly operative's counteraction for this turn, but it takes up one of your goes as a counteraction. So you got to spend your counteraction. So you got to have at least 2 counteractions to be able to flip him and then shoot with him. And obviously, as you flip him, you might then get got.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
I
feel like you might. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to know how much this would come up, because you're gonna have a lot of operatives. Well, you're sitting at 12 if you want to include your leader. So it's like that's a lot of operatives. So how often do you?
Yeah,
it's going to be late in the game that counteract is probably going to come up for you when things are going poorly. So maybe turn 2 for me. It's possible.
This feels like more of a you're into a team that's going to get 2 counteracts because something bad's happened and you're in turn 3, you've lost a lot of guys and he's got 2 targets and you spend a counteract to move one of them into conceal. So they've only got 1 target. Because I don't know when you would, because I don't think you're getting, unless you've died a lot, you're not getting counteracts that many times.
Yeah, it seems like things have to go poorly for this to necessarily become a big play. But if this was on, say, an elite team with 6 operatives, you'd be like, oh, how good, because you're just going to – and also because if, say, it is hypothetically using turn 3, also if you pop someone into engage, they got a shot off, the turn ends, next turn, before it starts the next turn, you can pop them back into conceal as well. So there is some cool synergies, but I feel like things need to be going poorly. So I think the stronger part of this is that change.
Oh yeah, the beginning part's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll focus in on that as being the really positive parts.
It doesn't say. Right. Oh no, that makes no difference, does it?
Oh, what were you thinking?
I know. I like that. Quite a good one.
All right. So then we can move on to our ploys. So we've got our strategy ploys and our firefight ploys. And so some of these have been tweaked recently. The latest balanced starter slate, some of these got a few changes, which have been, I think, really add a lot to giving these, why these guys are seeing a little bit of a resurgence at the moment, or people that are giving him a go. So Cutthroats add 1 to the attack stat of friendly Farstalker Kinband operatives, melee weapons to a maximum of 5. So
that's unchanged. Yeah, that's
unchanged.
How it was.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not bad, because if we look at your basic warrior in close combat, he's going to have 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-4, which is not bad, but 3 attacks hurts him a little bit. So all of a sudden it pushes that to 4.
It does make it a lot more likely that you'll get 3 attacks through, basically.
Yeah. So especially into like squishier teams like guard equivalents, or even some Eldar, getting 3-4 damage through. It's pretty powerful, or especially if you're going to be potentially getting charged a lot, even being able to do some damage on the way out. So I definitely think that's going to be one I'll be giving it a go for sure.
Cutthroats, it's only when it's fighting, not retaliating.
Oh,
which
interesting.
Is
one
not
for
great.
New players.
So it's only just an aggressive, not a defensive one.
So, because what is it? Add 1 to the attack stat of friendly. Oh, is it just because it's the attack stat of friendly operatives melee weapons? Doesn't say anything about counteract and attack.
Sorry, it used to be when this operative is fighting, so it has changed. So instead, it was only when they were fighting, not retaliating, but it's now been changed to just stay, you change it to 5. So that's much better.
That is
much better change.
As you said, that nearly goes from being nearly very, very low tier to a lot more usable. And
that's a good update.
There are also close combat operatives, a specialist in your team as well. So obviously that's why the cap is on 5. But there's also obviously other melee operatives going to go from 4 attacks to 5. And for those specialists, that's making them a really, really punch above their weight. Then we've got Rogue. So an operative is shooting a friendly Farstalker Kinband operative. You can ignore Saturate, and you can retain any covers. If you retain any cover saves, you can retain one additional, or you can retain one cover save as a critical instead. This isn't used in conjunction, doesn't go work alongside Vantage terrain as well, though. So you can't be like basically getting 3 auto saves or 3 crits or something like that. Crazy.
Yeah, from being targeted from a Vantage, you normally get like you can retain. So you'd be now,
correct me if I'm wrong. Did Rogue used to be what their rule used to be, like the team rule? Wasn't this something?
Yeah, I think so.
Always kind of.
This hasn't changed. But yeah, I think last edition, I feel like that used to be their rule. Whereas now it's obviously a strategic ploy.
Okay. So look.
Maybe not the saturate thing. I don't know.
No,
if they
saturate feels new, but they're retaining the extra cover saves. Like that was always their strength, was that they stick to cover.
Yeah.
And I think they used to be able to ignore things like Vantage and stuff like that as well. So interesting. So now paying a CP for it, but ignoring saturate's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Not a bad little addition on top of that as well. All right. Then we've got Prey. Whenever a friendly Farstalker operative is shooting during an activation in which it hasn't performed charge, fallback, or reposition, its ranged weapons have balanced and severe weapon rules. If the weapons already have balance, it has ceaseless and severe instead. Note this operative isn't restricted in performing those actions after shooting. So
this is a big change.
Yes.
Yeah, so this didn't used to have that second line, whereas if they have balanced already, they get ceaseless. And I think what's happened to the team is, as we'll go through it, there's a lot of ways, like the leaders call the kill, where they used to get accurate and now they get balanced, which means obviously if you've run Prey, quite a lot of your team, if they're shooting with Kroot rifles, can get ceaseless. So I think Prey has been the major update to them.
Yes.
And any way that you can get balanced, you can effectively, if you're running this, get ceaseless. And then your only really restriction is have already set up, ready to shoot, and then you can move. So pretty decent.
So this probably plays into a little bit of what we're seeing with them being able to flip their orders in the strategic phase, though, I guess, as well. So they're probably getting that opportunity to get that, probably getting that opportunity to set up a turn, flip their order at the start once they see who's coming in, and then we can. Now, if anyone's wondering, Russ is having some technical issues. That's why I was stuttering there a little bit. He's just lost us. So I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep going through Prey. Russ is going to keep working out his headset. And in any minute now, I'm sure Russ will be back. So sorry, right now it's just one kill team casual. We're losing the S.
Yeah. So my headphones ran out of juice. So there's a chance that you'll catch some weird feedback, because you're just coming out the speakers now, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking now. That seems all right. I can't hear anything.
That's all right then. Well, maybe we'll be okay. Then.
This is just like we planned it.
Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Let's roll.
At least you're back. Now. That's good. I was worried. I was just saying, I was like, it's going to be a kill team casual show where it's just me. It's no casuals. It's just you are basically one of the chat, Russ. We could have got you to reply in the chat, and that's it.
It'll just be you talking to the chat about what operatives you should take.
So just what you may have missed, Russ, I was just saying with this one, obviously there does seem to be some cool potential interactions using this in conjunction with your order change at the start of the turn. So, being able to set up in the turn before, get into the strategy phase, know who the turn it is, change an order, and potentially set up someone with a pretty cool shot with ceaseless and severe. Maybe on a vantage point or something like that. I can see some cool synergies. This seems to be one that turn 2 onwards, you're probably always going to be wanting to click on, because it might really help you get some damage through. Because this probably seems to be the thing a few people have said about this team in the past that they've struggled is getting big damage. Like, there's not really.
Yeah.
They have lots of plasma guns and melter guns in this team. They've got some heavy weapons, but not heaps. The other one, and I really like this one too, because of especially now with Volcus and how much terrain there is to try and climb and jump over. They've got Bound, which is whenever they're moving, you can ignore the first vertical distance of 2 inches when they move during a climb up. So pretty good. Again, this is a shooty team. You're going to be wanting to get on some vantage points. You're going to be wanting to climb up stuff. So in fact, you won't climb, you will bound up.
Bound up that. But yeah, that hasn't changed. I think that was always pretty solid. Using it turn 1 to, as you say, set up your turn 2 prey shooting is pretty decent.
Yeah.
So you're probably in a good position to get into a good position with Bound. So yeah, it's a great one.
So already we're seeing some things. Turn 1, we're going to chuck Bound. We're going to be moving up, getting into shooting positions. Turn 2, we're looking to fire up things like Prey or Rogue to give us a bit of protection as well. Fingers crossed we don't need Rogue in the first turn. We're not getting shot too much in the first turn, but it's possible. Could also be a turn 1er as well. So that's the strategic ploys. Or the strategy ploys, I should say. It's a pretty good mix.
Yeah.
I like that none of them have too many hoops to jump through. They're kind of like, do this and it does this. Sometimes I don't like when they have too many caveats on. It's like you spend a CP, but now you also need to achieve these 9 other things for this to do the thing it should do. So
you're thinking of void dances, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot like that. You know what I mean? All right. Firefight ploys. Let's keep smashing through. We've got lots of strategizing to do. Savage ambush is our first one. So using this firefight ploy during the fight action, when a ready operative that has light or heavy terrain within its control range is selected to fight against. In the resolve attack dice of the sequence, you resolve the first attack dice, i.e. defender instead of attacker. Speaking of caveats.
You're keeping this in your back pocket. Just be like, because it'll come. It's one of those things like Just a Scratch, where it will completely change the breaking point of a combat. If someone's attacking you and you're like, okay, so I'll play this. I am going first. I will resolve my attack, especially if you rolled a crit, because you do it, to be fair, you do it before the dice are rolled. So it's kind of a risk because you use it when a friendly operative is selected. So you could whiff, but it's like it does change a critical combat, especially if it's when it's fun to do it is when they've made their first move and they've pressed their one operative forward that can be in range to fight, and they're like, okay, so this is my big hit, and you go, right, well, I'm going first in the combat, so I'm definitely doing 4 damage, 8 damage most likely if they can't one shot you, which not a lot of things can dish out 8 damage. Yep. But so you're probably doing whatever is attacking you is probably taking 8 damage, and that's going to kill a non-elite and leave an elite very injured. And you might have also been doing. Maybe you've also run cutthroats, so maybe you're 4 attacks now, and maybe you can parry out if they're not. I mean, chances are they're attacking you with a melee operative if they're doing that. But yeah, I think this is a great one. This is a great one to be like, boom, I'm going first.
As you said, changes the maths of that whole interaction. And realistically, with the way you're probably going to be wanting to run your models, they really should be within in control range or engagement range, sorry, I should say, of light or heavy terrain most of the time. Like
for rogue. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because exactly, you've got a whole nother strategy ploy that encourages you to do that. You're obviously a squishy team anyway, you should be taking advantage of cover. So there's hopefully not too many chances that times that your opponent will be able to completely get around this. And it's a bit of a sneaky gotcha too, because I reckon you could tell your opponent once, they're like, oh, yep, no worries. And then they'll do it and you're like, oh, so I am going to spend that CP. And they're like, oh, no. So
I think if you're playing Kroot, you've had it rough. You should get a carte blanche. You don't have to tell someone your gotchas. I reckon if you're a Kroot player, you can just be like, you know what? I'm Kroot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you my gotchas. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you with my gotchas. And that's what you get. But,
I love it. This is the attitude. This is the other thing I've learned, Russ. This is the attitude I'm now taking. So I'm really digging this. The next one is Slip Away. So use this during a firefight ploy during a friendly Farstalker operative's activation. During that activation, that operative can perform the fallback action for 1 less AP. So
I mean, it's potentially clutch. I don't know when you're not going to be using it loads, but you might use that turn 3, turn 4 to score a critical objective to be like disengage and still be able to bop, or disengage and then shoot. I mean, it's just, it's real good. Depending on the operative, but
you're not building around it, but to have this in your back pocket, as you said, those last crucial turns where model counts are low, and you might just be able to, if you can parry out and survive a combat from one of their operatives and then move away and do something, it's pretty potent. I said, and only one APL, you can still, boop an objective, whatever it is. Pretty powerful.
I think it's great. I think it's weird, but I think Kroot have some of the best examples of the difference between strat ploys and firefight ploys. Like the firefight ploys that are just real useful for the okay, I might need this in a very specific activation, versus the strat ploy of everyone up one attack. That's great. Everyone get better cover saves. That's great. And then these are, it's a real solid so far. We've already gone down 2, but so far, real solid firefight ploys. I think you will use them, and when you use them, they're going to be useful.
Yes, I think CP management with these guys will be quite crucial, because I said also that's the thing too. They are all good, or they've all got times to use them.
Oh yeah,
making sure
I could see you using 2 in conjunction. You could be like, well, I'm going to slip away, and then I'm going to poach this objective.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like,
yes. So if you can manage and have those CP up the sleeve to drop at the right time, there's some pretty good combos. And as you said, poach is probably the one. I think this is the one most people know of, and a lot of people who are opponents of Kroot do find this one can be wildly powerful if used correctly. You use this firefight ploy during a friendly Farstalker Kinband operative's activation. Until the end of that activation, that operative doesn't have to control a marker to perform the pickup marker or mission action that usually requires this, taking precedence over that action conditions. It only needs to contest the marker. So basically, you can steal objectives out from under someone's feet. Basically, they can have a 3 APL Space Marine on something, and you can be like, yoink.
It's super useful. I mean, especially in one of those ones where it's what I like the scenario is, the one where you build it up for yourself and you perform the action once and you remove all of your opponent's tokens and then put one of your own on. So someone could have been farming it for 3 turns, ready to just be like, okay, here we go. I'll score big 3 on this one, because then they got a body on it, or maybe you got 2 bodies on it. They're like, no one's taken this, and you can just be like, poach. Goes down from scoring you 3 to scoring me 1 if I've still got it, which I won't do, but it's to get rid of 3.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where it could be great. Or if you do loot, you could be like, I'm putting him forward. I'm going to loot your home objective, which used to be the great move in the previous edition, to be like, I'm looting yours and then mine is safe. Stuff like that. I mean, it's in a game that is half of the game is the objective, like the crit ops, the objective, and tac ops, whatever it is. But like, about half the game is, well, no, I guess it's a third now with killing. So let's say a third of the game is objective based. Being able to ignore your opponent to just score an objective whenever you want to is pretty nice. I mean, to have that in your back pocket, like we say, it's a real useful and genuinely going to be, if you're playing the crit, and you probably are, because I think better now, but Kroot used to be a team that was really good at playing the mission because they didn't always have the firepower. I think it's better now with Prey being ceaseless. Maybe you will have the dice to put through the damage. But I think that's a real good, solid firefight ploy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too, and especially now with the changes to, I guess, a lot of those big boogeyman team, which were the 6 operative teams. Now, all of a sudden, if you are versing a lot more teams that are 7, 8 wounds, all of a sudden that lack of the big heavy hitters doesn't hurt as much, because you can still get 2, 3 shots through and do some damage. So it's going to be interesting. Lastly, this one's pretty cool. Vengeance for the Kinband. Whenever one of your operatives is incapacitated by an enemy operative, until the end of the battle, whenever another friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against that operative, the other operative's weapons have relentless. So you cannot use this ploy again, though, during the battle until that enemy operative has been incapacitated. So if they've got a super hardcore melee threat that they throw up the board and kill one of your guys turn 1 or 2 super early on, you spend 1 CP, chuck Vengeance for the Kinband, and let everyone else power up with Relentless to take down that operative. That's pretty good. And then when they're dead, you wait for the next one and you transfer it to the next operative. So pretty good.
I think this is. I think Kroot's an interesting team because I think you can change how you play depending on the team you're going into. This for me feels like such a good way to pair that with confirm kill and go after an elite team. So you have an elite team that's getting up in your grill. They will obviously kill a Kroot. Yes. Probably in their first activation. Like it's going to happen. Definitely. They're just better. They're going to move forward, shoot twice, or charge and fight twice. You know what I mean? They'll kill a Kroot, and then you drop Relentless, and all you need to do is for 3 turns, kill whatever operatives just killed your guys. And with everyone with Relentless, you should be able to do enough damage in shooting, even like everyone on your team. You got 11 dudes after they've killed 1 left to shoot. So I think you should probably be able to kill 1 if you focus, and that'll be worth, you know, two victory points on the attack op, and hopefully they've come forward to kill you because you've been holding back a little bit against elites, hiding and drawing them towards you, so then you can just kill them and get that confirmed kill. I think it's a real solid option. I'm not sure you would use it all the time. In like, it feels like it might be a waste against. So, for example, you got charged by something like a non-elite. It's managed to kill you, but it's taken 3 damage, and it's only going to be left with 4 wounds. Like, maybe Relentless. It kind of depends on how you're playing. You've probably not chosen confirm kill. I don't know, depending on if you have, but super good against elites.
As we were talking about before, the CP economy side of things, you might be right.
I think it might not be worth it.
Against a team that's 7 or 8 wounds, you might go, look, it would be nice, but no, I'd rather keep that CP to be using one of my other strategy ploys or firefight ploys that is going to score points. You could probably feel confident, as you said, if they fight you, they're going to have lost maybe 3 to 4 damage. They're not going to have much left. You can probably pick them up without Relentless, especially considering there's also other ways to get balanced or ceaseless as well on a lot of the weapons as well.
It feels like overkill and for a CP into one of those teams, especially if you have already run Prey, like you say, so you've got ceaseless. But against an elite where you're like, this is going to be 2 lots of shooting, or there's either be 5 lots of shooting or maybe 3 lots of shooting with Relentless. So that's 2 more operatives I free up. It's pretty worth it for them. But yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think it's a great option to have in there to be like, okay, you've killed someone, I'm Relentless against that character now. So if they've got a big value target, you can just be like, okay, wait for it to kill the brood, the brood lord, whatever it is, the patriarch. As soon as it kills anything, drop it. Why not? You're going to spend the entire game trying to kill you. Might as well be Relentless against them.
I'd tell you what, the fact that you just mentioned things like the Brood Lord, like that's the one thing I'm super excited about heading back out to a tournament too. Like you forget, like there are so many teams, and like as much as we sort of like pigeonhole them into like, oh, you got elites and blah, blah. It's like, yeah, I forgot there's just a team now that can just take a patriarch if they so choose. Like there's some wild stuff on the kill team table. There is some wild stuff. Awesome. All right. So I thought we'll quickly jump ahead now and have a quick look at faction equipment. Because this will obviously be quite important, and there's a little bit, some of these also have a little bit of synergies and tie-ins too with some of the abilities with some of the operatives as well. So those are piercing shot and toxin shot. So these are separate ones. For piercing shot basically lets you once per turning point when you're a friendly operative shooting, if they have a Kroot rifle, Kroot scattergun, or dual Kroot pistols in the focus profile, you can use this rule. If you do until the start of that action, the weapons has piercing 1. Pretty good. Right. As we talked about, adding piercing 1 into those operatives, either horde ones to guarantee kills or to especially the big boys, the big strong boys. On your basic rifles, they're like bolters effectively, 3-4. But with piercing 1, they become a bit more punchy.
Yeah. 4 attacks hitting on 3s with piercing 1.
So
probably get bad. 2 hits through maybe. Pretty nice.
Then we've got toxin shot, which is the other shooting one. Similar rules. So again, on just a Kroot rifle, Kroot scattergun, or dual Kroot pistols in the focus profile. If you do until the end of that action, the weapon has lethal 5-up and stun.
Stun's a big one.
Yes, and I think that for me sounds very nice. We've seen what it can do to teams like Wreckers and stuff with the 2 APL. If you can start to take away that extra bit of movement or that action economy that they can have or even just to be really annoying if someone's buffed up a unit with a +1 APL and you just take it away again. Yeah, very interesting. Now, there is the caveat you can't use them in the same shooting activation as well. So you can't double up sticky tape or piercing shot to a toxin shot and fire both bullets. But yeah, I think you'd be wanting to take both of these.
I think the ability to stun is so good, especially if you are. Yeah, there's a lot. If you're taking a tournament, you're probably still probably going to see a lot of Angels. Angels of Death still quite one of the most predominant teams.
Yeah.
You're gonna. I mean, it's just so useful being able to stun. And like you say, Wreckers being quite a team that's crippled somewhat by stun. Vespids are, though you don't see them a lot. Stun's a great rule to be able to have.
Yes.
So yeah.
And even Space Marines being able to potentially deny double kills and stuff.
Down to 2, yeah.
Yeah, getting them down to 2 PL. You're like, welcome to being immortal. Welcome to being a normal player. But when you've only got 6 operatives, taking one of them down to 2 APL really does hurt. So, yeah, I really like both of those. The next one up is Meat. So once per turning point, when a friendly Farstalker Kinband operative, excluding the Hound, is activated, if it's not within control range of enemy operatives, you can use this rule. If you do, the friendly operative regains D3 + 1 wounds. I've heard 2 trains of thought with this one. Some love it, think, great, how good is healing, especially in a team that doesn't innately have a medic type operative.
Yeah.
Others going, waste of equipment on a team when your operatives are only so few wounds. That is it worth saving them when you could take, I don't know, crack grenades or something like that, you know? Or
I was going to say, I think I might be in that camp. They're not. You're basically 7 or 8 wounds across the board. I guess there's a scenario where you only manage to get hit once, and you get real lucky on your saves because you got cover saves, and you fail the one you roll, and you only get hit. I don't know. It does kind of feel like, like Linford says, if you get shot, you die. It's kind of like I kind of feel like that as well. I feel like if they were a 4-up save, or if they were. I don't know. I mean, the cover save is decent if you're always in cover and you get shot, retain the 2. Maybe you're okay, but I still think if you're into a team that's got fairly decent shooting, and they if they're shooting you, they probably will have decent shooting. I don't know.
And it's same as it's like your operative fights in close combat, kills someone, survives on 2-3 wounds. What are the odds that they will make it to the next activation to use the healing as well? Because you've still got to get there to use it again. So, yeah.
D3 + 1.
Yeah, and D3 + 1, like again, it's big because obviously it's going to get you most of the time get your hero, like your character out of being wounded. But yeah, I think I'm a bit. Originally, when I read it, I was like, healing, fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think that's more like, it's different when you've got a medic. Yeah.
I think I would be worth it because you're only 8 wounds. It means regardless of what happens, you cannot be injured. And I just think if there's a chance in this scenario that you get 2 wounds back and it's made no difference really. And I think what you want to be able to say is like, okay, I took a 3 and a 4. I took 7 damage, which could happen against like a bolter. You could take a hit and a crit, 3-4 damage and survive on 1 wound. Like anything less than 4 wounds back is doing nothing for you because you're doing that so you can be not injured anymore, really, aren't you? So
it needs to be like 2 or 3 plus D3, you know, like to nearly like guarantee.
So the minimum is you're not injured.
Get you back above that break point.
Yeah, it means that
just something
you're never injured.
Yeah. So I reckon Meat would be off the menu, boys. I don't think that would make it, and I don't think it's
maybe
a bad.
Crack.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is it something like a crack or like terrain dependent? You know, is it getting you something like ladders, but on ITD it's grenades, or like, you know, or more stun grenades, you know, taking some equipment grenades to be another way, a lot of smoke, like, and ways to create cover. I think that would be the number 3 swing spot of equipment, like matchup dependent. Mind you, I'd probably want to, again, stick to that thing of this is just my equipment and my loadout for the day. Like I'm taking this no matter what. So it might be something versatile like crack
I
grenade.
think you can do that. Yeah, you basically you have if you have the meat as the swinger, and then say if I'm into hordes, I'll take blast, I'll take some frag,
Yeah.
and if I'm into elites, I'll take crack.
Crack.
Or one of each, either way, and then you've got the threat of both. Yeah.
Awesome. Then the last bit of equipment, trophy. So once per battle during a friendly operative's activation, excluding hounds, before or after it performs an action, if it is not within control range of enemy operatives, you can use this rule. If you do so, add 1 to the friendly operative's APL stat until the end of the activation. Pretty powerful.
Once per battle, though.
But it's only once per battle. As I say, that is to me that I don't think I'd seen that previously. Once per battle. It's nearly like
I think you play 3 games out of 4 and forget to use it.
Yeah.
In 3 of those games.
It makes me think
the time you do use it, it's great, though. That's the thing.
It's nearly like free prey. You know what I mean? It's nearly like you might be able to activate it, get on an objective and flip it, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But
I think it's strong. Like you say, it's real strong. Just because it's only once per battle, I think you forget about it.
Yeah.
But it's quite strong. But yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, for the fact that you could be 3 APL, yeah, I mean, that's great.
And I think anything, I mean, I'm a big thing too of anything that can give you bonus APL and removes the need to it be reliant on another operative. Because, sometimes, some comms operatives are great at it, others are bad. It's a bit like what we just saw with the Goremongers. If they've got their pack and they can just add 1 APL to their thing off their own initiative, I think that's really powerful. That's when those things start to get, because you don't really have to telegraph it quite as much. Whereas often you're like, I'm going to move my comms operative and then I'm going to boost this guys with an APL, and your opponent's like, I know what you're doing.
Nothing gets past me, son.
Yeah, I see you there, sir.
I see it all happen.
Awesome. All right, so that's the equipment done. So,
okay.
Have a look at the operatives now, and we'll try and not spend too long on each of them. We'll work through at a brisk pace. The kill broker we spoke about, obviously the important things here. Got the 1 extra wound, still the 5-up save. They've all got 6-inch move, 2 APL. Call the kill strategic gambit. So this is obviously done at the start of the strategic gambit phase. Select 1 enemy operative to be your mark for the turning point. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against that mark. So luckily they did correct the wording there. It's all of them, not the half one of attacking. You have balanced, and whenever that mark is incapacitated, you can select a new enemy operative to be your mark for the turning point and can continue to do so. So this is pretty good that it shifts around without you having to spend extra or go, I killed that one for the turn. I have to wait for the turning point to roll over. And as we heard too, it being balanced is nice, but there's lots of ways to get balanced already, or units have it, so then it becomes ceaseless.
You just have to stay still, and then you've got ceaseless basically. So it's a real nice.
Victory Shriek is the other one. So whenever your operative is incapacitated, so the mark that we put the call to kill on, you can select 1 friendly operative within 6 inch of this operative until the end of the battle. That operative's weapons have the balance special rule, and that can only be handed out to each operative once per battle. So there we go. It's another way straight away we're seeing that balanced, but also it's encouraging you. It's showing you to go target down 1 foe. Hey, you might get super lucky if you know it's their super aggressive operative. You target them with this. Then you could also find ways to put relentless on that thing. You're dealing out balanced because you killed it, all that stuff. So there's a bit going on, ways to really knuckle down with your leader. And I think too,
take a lot of tokens.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring it.
Take a lot of tokens, buddy, because that's you have to be like, he shrieked him, so he's now balanced and then relentless.
I can't wait to forget all this stuff. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the one thing, it's interesting too, quite a strong operative in close combat as well. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5 with the ritual blade. Plus you could get that to 5 attack blade. Also give it the extra attack using cutthroats.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Still only 9 wounds though, so got a right situation. But and you're not
Not
taking
bad in
me.
a pinch.
Not bad in a pinch,
Yeah.
so yeah. Next up, we've got the Kroot bow hunter. So look, you have to take the leader. Now we're looking at the specialists and making sure we're taking all these. So this guy has the big Wookiee bowcaster.
I love it.
There's 3 options that it can shoot. There's the accelerator with the fused arrow, which gives it piercing 4/5. These are all hitting 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, just different damages and profiles. The accelerator bow with a glide arrow gives it silent, so you do have a sniper-esque character, basically a bolter, 3/4.
Yeah.
And then what is it? Voltaic arrow. This is kind of like a frag profile. So 4 3s, 3/5 damage, blast 1. So good little bit of splash damage, and especially getting those crits, not bad. Unfortunately, it'd be great if you could use the toxic round with this, because then you could do lethal 5 up and push through that extra damage.
You can give yourself for 1 action point energize, which does give you lethal 5.
Here's one we prepared earlier. I should have looked
So I think this guy, if you're building a Kroot list, this guy for me feels like an auto take, just because he's effectively your gunner, but he's also 3 gunners. And he's not limited in your silent. So I mean, if you want the designate target, if you go the designate target route with infiltrate, this guy could arguably be your guy that's handing out the designate target, because obviously in the silent profile, he can be on advantage on conceal and still be able to target someone and be a valid target to that operative. So
explain designate target to those who may not know what that means. I
was going to run away. So I don't have the cards.
I was like, have you frozen or have you run?
I was just going to move still until you moved on. So designate target, I don't know. I don't play it a lot, but it's from the infiltrate deck. I don't have it in front of me. But I believe it's the one where an operative designates a target.
It's a one APL action, correct, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a 1 APL action. 1 APL as long as you can valid target.
I don't know. I don't have it with me. The cards are in the other room. But I believe the operative has to shoot as if it's got a weapon. Yeah. So if it's got a silent weapon, it can obviously select a target from silent and then do that. Is how I understand it to work. But I would also say I never run infiltrate. So
how dare you? No, but that is interesting. I like that. I mean, anything you can do, because sometimes you do see those implant, like there's those there's ones where it's like implant's great, but there's the risk you have to get in close combat. You have to sacrifice an attack to do it. Whereas something where you can shoot and not have to take that risk, or at least stay in conceal and do that. I like that. So here we go. He's gonna make it in. You've made a mad dash. Is this a dash with the cards?
Yes.
I'm going to let you read it. I'm going to move on to the cold blood. You come back to me when you found it. So next up.
So I've got it already.
Oh, look at that. What efficiency.
So it wasn't called designate target, which is probably confusing a lot of people. I was talking about surveillance. So
that's why I asked. I was like, tell me what it is.
I was going to say, yeah. It's because I never use it, obviously.
Yeah, surveillance. Now we're all on the same page.
Surveillance is as you correctly postulated, a 1 AP, and it's performed. You gather surveillance. No, this isn't the one I'm thinking of. Am I thinking of wiretap?
No, it's not wiretap. There is one you're thinking of. I'm pretty sure. You have not made this up. I'm pretty sure there is one that is like, yeah, you're effectively lining them up to shoot them, but instead you spend an AP to.
Oh, here we go. It is surveillance. An operative cannot perform this action while it has an engage order, so it has to do it from conceal. It must be wholly within your opponent's territory, and it must be an enemy operative that is a valid target for it.
Ooh,
so there you
go. Enemy territory makes it a little bit harder. Takes away the sitting back on your home.
That is terrible.
It's off the list.
I don't think you would use it. Take it off the list, buddy. But you still take this operative, because I think this operative is a solid operative.
Tack op is off the board.
Tack op hard pass, because that is only for the grot.
And obviously, just
Commander's
thinking
Wrath.
too, depending on what stage you activate this operative to, if you do end up using the fused or the voltaic arrow, you would have an opportunity if it survives the turn as well to change it back to conceal as well for the next turn. So if you are needing one of those more powerful shots, there is a way to turn it back into to conceal and stuff like that as well. So yeah, and then obviously keeping it alive to the next time you want to activate it. So a little bit of management with that makes it even more dangerous. There's the Kroot Cold Blood is up next. Just got the basic Kroot rifle, basic blades. Does have an extra wound, sneaky extra wound. I think that's for the bionic leg, like the Goremongers.
Like the Goremongers, yeah, exactly.
Extra legs give extra power, extra wounds. But 2 special rules. So it's got hardy. When an attack dice would inflict damage on this operative, you can choose for that attack dice to inflict inflict critical damage. Crit to normal. Yeah, that's what I'm going to stop talking. Crit to normal, which is very, very nice. Again, already at 9 wounds, survivability, that's fantastic. And then cold-blooded, whenever this operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against a wounded operative, this operative's weapons have lethal 5 up. If the enemy is also injured, this operative also has rending. So
lovely.
An executioner, if you will, great at finishing off things, getting extra damage through on operatives that have maybe already been hit a few times thanks to called kill or have snuck forward and started to punch on early. I mean, you're basically always taking this guy because it's a basic warrior with lots of skills for free.
I was going to say, I mean, it's a couple extra things. I mean, we'll get onto the warriors, what the warriors give you. Yeah. And I guess you might want to take it, but I think for the fact that this guy's just a little bit more survivable. And it doesn't say... Yeah, no, I think that's just a solid operative. I think it feels like a solid operative. Why wouldn't you take it? Might as well.
Yes, yeah. I just think that damage mitigation is good. It kind of surprises your opponent pretty much when you add that in and the extra wound. It'd be interesting to see, obviously, what it does with a lot of the break points for a lot of operatives as well. So
we'll have a look, because I kind of feel like maybe when we get to the warrior, you might be like, I want to take 3 warriors, and if the only operative we got to get rid of is the cold blood, maybe we get rid of the cold blood.
Maybe it could be the cold. That'd be interesting. It'd
be interesting to see what we think.
To be proved wrong with this. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing it live. So it's live
and
learning.
And because we're doing it live, we've not thought much about it prior to this chat now. So this could be just a real cold take that we're having right now. But the cut skin.
It's obviously a new team too, so no one's ever talked about them or thought about them.
Brand new.
Next up, we've got the Kroot cut skin. So one of your close combat operatives here. Got the cut skin blades, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4, ceaseless, and lethal 5+. So very, very nice in terms of those little special abilities on the weapons. 2 special abilities, Vicious Duelist, whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating. For each attack dice your opponent discards as a fail, inflict 1 damage on the enemy operative in that sequence.
Real nice. It kind of makes it him better against non-fighty units. Yeah. Because obviously if you charge something that's hitting on 4s or 5s, or something that's injured,
they've done
that's got a lot of attacks
to themselves.
Yeah, they might end up finishing themselves off. So it's a real nice one. You want to be into people that are hitting on 5s. It would be lovely. You might just end up killing something quite outright.
We've also got Savage Assault. So the first time this operative performs the fight action during each of its activations, if neither it nor the enemy operative in that sequence is incapacitated, this operative can perform the fight action afterwards. But you cannot select any other enemy models to fight during that action. And it's so it's basically, you don't kill them, try again.
Yeah.
Which is not too bad.
Yeah, I think this guy has to be an auto take as well, because you need an operative that can carry out, and with 4 attacks, potentially 5 if you're taking cutthroats.
Yeah,
and decent amount of damage with ceaseless as well, and lethal 5. There's a good chance you're doing 8 damage with 2 hits. And maybe, I mean, I just think it's a real good option. I can see this guy as potentially the reason you might use the meat. Like, because this guy might end up taking 1 hit and then dice someone up, and then he's taking 3 wounds, and it's sort of like, maybe it's worth getting him back to full, but then I don't think it's less good is if you charged him, fight potentially twice for free, and then you've dropped trophy, so you're now 3 APL. You could then throw a crack grenade as your last. Oof. Is that better than healing? Probably is, because he's probably gone quite far forward. I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's not worth it. Still, but
I think too. It's probably as you kind of underlined there. It is a little bit matchup dependent because if you get him into the squishy backline gunners and stuff, and he's gonna slice and dice. But then is he going to get to do that and have any chance to heal up against even a basic Space Marine? Probably not. No, fights
probably
twice,
not worth it.
He's probably killing himself in that second fight if he fights again. So interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's nice. I would probably. How would you feel? I mean, obviously, this is not how this game works. I do love an operative like this guy, that has charge out of conceal though as well. I think maybe it would make it too powerful. Maybe you'd have to.
Oh no,
trade.
He didn't.
No, he doesn't. He feels like he should be that kind of operative. A bit like the blooded one and stuff like that. Those operatives that have it, but obviously, it's not that kind of game. I don't get to choose the rules.
I mean,
but I do love that.
Yeah, they do have that whole that you can change their orders afterwards or in the start. So if he's out in the open a little bit, you can hide him. But I know what you mean. I feel like
if you get that order activation right.
Yeah, but he does feel like he should be a charge from conceal.
He's in. Either way, he's in. He's made the cut.
Yeah. Oh, he's made the team.
Now, this is the interesting one. The Kroot Heavy Gunner. They've done a bit of rework in this new edition with both the heavy weapons, and they're both interesting. I think it used to be kind of just one. There was one that was worth taking, and that was it. But they're both kind of got their place now. You do need to be aware both heavy weapon options do have reposition only. So you are a little bit restricted with your movement. First up, we've got the Skinner, 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, 3/3, range 6, so unusual, a bit shorter than a lot of your other flamers and everything. But piercing 2, torrent 2.
Yeah,
so
it's a weird gun, isn't it?
Super short range, extremely good flamer.
Yeah, like a flamer melter.
But I feel like you'd only get to shoot once because you've got to get so close.
Within 6 range. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're getting one shot and you're getting... And because your opponent, I think, is going to be super aware, especially an elite opponent, I think will be super aware about this operative because they know they can do some damage. And having that, you've got to get that close, and you've got the reposition caveat as well. So it's like you can't do the sneaky use the trophy, move, dash, shoot. You couldn't, you can't really extend the range. The threat of
probably arguments for both guns, but I think, I would lean towards the Longdaxi Tribalist just because you've got ways of getting, like, if you really, I think this is where you pair this guy with Call the Kill. So if something's killed you and it's had to go into it, for example, if someone has to charge and kill you, they've got to go to engage. And hopefully you've got enough of movement to get to a reposition. You then got Relentless. So if you're shooting this gun with Relentless, 5 attacks hitting on 4s isn't so bad anymore.
Yes.
Like piercing 1, pretty decent, rending as well. So
could this be the one that also you've maybe victory shriek to give balanced innately as well at some other point too? Like there's ways to get it. For the Tri-Blast here, 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, obviously that's the hold back, but the damage is beautiful. 4/5, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Piercing 1, so we're still getting some piercing and the rending as well. So I think I'd be leaning towards the Tri-Blast. I think I've definitely modeled my guy with the with the Skinner. But I think the Tri-Blast just... Yeah, I think there's ways to buff it. And I think also because of not having the range restriction, you've got more options to keep this operative alive and hopefully get 2 shots off with it. If you use it rightly, there's ways to change the order later on. I'm leaning towards that.
I was going to say, I mean, Ceaseless, if you've given him, if you've given them what you call it. If you've taken the thing so you don't have to move, ceaseless becomes, balance becomes ceaseless. Ceaseless or relentless, I think, make that gun just worth it. You will get 5 hits with the flamer. But I think you're right. I think if you've had to go that far forward, you're getting one shot off, and you have to really hope you kill what you kill, and there's no one left to charge you. Or you get maybe 2 shots off with the tribalist. It's kind of, it feels like sometimes you get those gunners that you're like, when you have a melter in your team, you're like, unless it's a space marine, you're like,
it's getting one.
This melter's got 1 shot. And if he kills the exact thing that I go for and everything else goes to plan, maybe I get a second shot because it's my last activation and then my first activation.
Yeah.
But if things don't go to plan, you get 1 shot. And it feels like the Longdaxi tribalist, that maybe you get 2 or 3 shots because you can keep him far back. Whereas, the Skinner, you're probably getting 1 shot before he is just getting squished, and he is squishy.
And if you don't get that 1 shot off because of where your positioning is kind of like you're gutted, like.
I'm not even sure that kills a Space Marine. Piercing 2, so there's 1 save. Let's assume you hit with everything. So that's what, 4 going 3, 6, 9, 12. So it doesn't kill a Space Marine unless they don't hit everything. And the thing is, though, this isn't for Space Marines. This is for a Horde because it's Torrent 2, and this could do a lot of damage.
Oh, what I think? Exactly. If you get it off, like it's like if there's a graph, it's like goes like this of it can do nothing to its spikes so hard, and it'll do crazy. But it's like, do you want that and have to work very hard to set that up, or do you want the Triblast, which is just like, it's like having nearly like a plasma gun in a lot of ways, good without having to overcharge anything, like it's reliable, it's consistent, it's a heavy weapon, no risk, and there's ways I think to improve it. I said obviously the 4-up hurts it, but there's definitely ways to with this team to get around that.
I was going to say, it's a team with a lot of rerolls baked in now, so I think you can get away with the more damage with just a whole bunch of rerolls thrown in there. For a team that can get relentless and get ceaseless and get balanced, very, very easily get balanced and ceaseless, I think I'd take the risk of pumping more damage through, if I'm honest. But yeah, definitely taking a heavy gunner. And I think if you've got a choice, take both and give them a try. But if you're building one list to rule them all, I think maybe run with the tribalist for a little bit.
Yeah,
take some long range.
Yeah. Now the Kroot's goodest boys, the Kroot Hounds. So these guys are a little bit different in their base stats. 2 APL, 8-inch move, and 7 wounds. So faster, but a little bit squishier. They've got ripping fangs, so obviously no shooting for these doggos. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-4, and rending. So not bad.
What do you have to eat as a Kroot to become a dog?
A dog.
Like
lots of
dogs. A bit on the nose though. Yeah, but the thing is though, is someone not saying, Tom, stop eating dogs, mate. You know what's gonna happen to you. And he's like, they just taste.
Stop.
Yeah. And the thing is though, if they tasted amazing, the Kroot would just be all hounds. Do you not think almost, and I have no idea the lore, I'd be almost a little bit more understanding if Kroot were normally hounds, and then someone was like, hey, we accidentally fed the dog human bits, and now it's started eating at the table. Like, you'd be like,
it's got a real
wow,
attitude.
that's crazy. That's like a Gremlins story, whereas the other way around, it sounds kind of sad if they're like, okay, we need a lot more movement in this army. We've nominated you to start eating dog.
Yeah. No, we haven't even told you. We've actually been swapping your food out.
You've just started feeding you dog. Yeah.
You've been eating chum for these past 6 weeks.
He's just looking at his food, kind of being like, is everyone eating this?
Yeah. No, it was the same. That's the same. No, you're good. Anyway, so few special rules, though, with the doggos. They are a beast. So this operative cannot perform any actions other than charge, dash, fall back, fight, gather, which is a special one for them, guard, reposition, pick up, marker, and place marker. You cannot use any weapons that aren't on a starter card. That's a lot. I think it would have been an easier list to list the things that they can't do.
It can't do unique mission actions.
Yeah, that's
it.
Yeah. So, a lot there. They're also bad-tempered, Russ, and this may be due to the fact that they were tricked into eating dog. But whenever an operative performs whenever an enemy operative performs the fight action, if this operative is a valid operative to fight against, you can force them to select this operative to fight against. When an operative ends the charge range within control range of another friendly Farstalker Kinband operative within 3 inches of this operative. If this operative isn't within control range of that enemy operative, this operative can immediately perform a free charge that must end within control range of that enemy operative. So it's basically like a bodyguard type rule.
Do you know what this needs? I feel like this needs a line that says regardless of what order it has.
Ooh.
Because that means you can't do it unless you're in engage. So you can't hang out. Like, I feel like it's great, but it means you have to really set up the fact that you are then going to use them as a counter charge by having them able to be shot, which is fine if you're into like Felgor, because you're like, it doesn't make a difference. But if you can perform a free like charge, but you can't perform the charge if you're in conceal. Yeah,
so that you still can't. You can't be like, haha, he was hiding around here the whole time. They do need to have an engage order to even be able to use this rule,
unless it's been errated. It was in the last edition. You had to be, you had to be able to do the free action that you can do, and that is
makes sense.
Order dependent. So they can't charge from conceal. So if you're in conceal, you can perform the charge, but you can't because you're not in the right order to do so. So you'd have to kind of have them ready. Which isn't bad, but it just means that potentially you'll leave an operative out in the open. If he's within 3, he might be within 2, which means you might be asking for a blast, which is sort of like, oof. So I think this could be good once you're in the midst of it. So I think you're probably not going to plan to use this.
Yeah, yes, that's I think what you're right. Yeah. I'm going to accidentally nail
just
this.
To you. Yeah, I'm speaking to you now, Rhys, not anyone else listening. I don't think you'll plan to use this. I think you'll find yourself in a situation where this will be useful, though. So once the melee start and you've got people charging in and out, if someone is charging someone, you're like, I need him to be free. You could be like, boom, in comes the dog. You're fighting the dog, and then you're not tied up because you've got that thing where you can disengage for an extra free. You just needed him to live. But yeah.
Interesting. I mean, look, as you said, I think it will come up, but not. It will be a harder one to plan for. The last ability they've got is 1 AP, and Norwich KT in the chat was just talking about that this is it's gather, and it's very, very strong to use in line with plant beacon. So there could be some trickery with the
I think so.
Our secondaries here. You can basically perform a free dash or reposition action. Repen action. This has gone for a lot longer than I realized. I'm very tired, and it's the morning here. Reposition action with this operative.
Morning here now.
During that move, you can perform a free pick up marker or place marker action with this operative. If you can determine you can do so, and any remaining distance it had from the dash or position can be used after. So basically, you can scoot, pick up something and keep scooting, or scoot, drop something, keep running away, or just being able to do 1 APL to reposition and drop your marker as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. As Linford said, it's great for the whole plant beacons because they've got the place marker, which is part of that. So I think these are, good option. You can do it from conceal. Again, which is why I don't think you'll have the bad tempered until you want to keep these guys around doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's better use for them at 8 movement than as your counter chargers because they get counter charged and they just get killed because they're not great in combat. You know what I mean? You would just throw them away.
Yeah, 7 wounds. It's because you got to go. That's it. Exactly right. You go, yes, it may have saved Operative X, but was Operative X going to drop 3 beacons throughout the game?
I was gonna say, I think it depends on what you're playing. If you're playing plant beacons, maybe you want to prioritize the hounds.
Yeah.
But
And
it depends completely.
You go the other way, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting there. We're slowly getting Kroot long sight. Pow. This is your actual sniper, not to be confused with the guy with the bow. This guy is your actual proper sniper operative, if you will. He's got 3 different types of shooting. We've got the Kroot hunting rifle concealed, which is devastating 3, just quietly.
It's on 2s as well.
Yeah, it has concealed positions. This operative can only use this weapon the first time it's performing. This operative can only use this weapon the first time it performs a shooting action during the battle. So interesting. So you're really only getting the one ka-chow off with that, with the concealed, and then you're visible after that. But still, for devastating 3, used at the right time with something, if he goes away to get lethal 5 up on it. Some other shenanigans, it could be pretty potent. You've got the mobile profile, which kind of just turns it into a bolter. 4 attacks hitting on 3 is 3/4. And then you've got the stationary, which basically improves the hits to 2. Goes to 3/3 damage, heavy, but devastating 3 comes back in. So pretty interesting. Again, another great candidate too for the order change at the start of the turn. If you're able to shoot, keep them alive, depending on your activation order. Geez, that's the one thing I'm seeing here. Getting your activation order with this team, getting it right is going to be pretty important. They also have, they also have long sight until the start of the operative's next activation. This concealed profile, this Kroot's hunting rifle has the, believe it or not, Russ, lethal 5+. Just what we were saying. Wouldn't it be nice to find a way to get that?
And whenever
it's shooting with its Kroot hunting rifle, enemy operatives cannot be obscured. Another very powerful application there as well. So pretty potent. There's some real, this is a hard hitter.
I think he's an auto take for your team, really.
Yes.
He's going to probably fire 3 or 4 times during the game. Probably not on turning point 1 unless someone's mispositioned.
Yes.
But the fact that you can ignore obscuring might mean that you can get this guy on not on Vulcus necessarily, because there's so much heavy, so they'll have to be really badly positioned. But any other game, any other board, yes, you'll probably get a shot turning point 1 because there's a lot of light if you can get them on to thinking. With bound, you probably will. And heavy reposition. Oh no, it is heavy. Okay,
it is heavy. Yeah.
Unless you were using your scouting phase to climb this guy up somewhere, maybe you wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
Turning point 1, but he's probably going to shoot 2 or 3 times. Being able to be lethal 5 and no obscurity probably means he's definitely getting shots. And he's pretty good. Pretty good shooting at hitting on 2s, 4 attacks, 3/3, devastating 3. No P.
But again, if you're getting, getting lethal 5 up, devastating 3, I guess you'll sacrifice that for hopefully getting through those large amount of mortal wounds. Regardless of saves would be pretty nice. Awesome. Okay, he's in. Then we go to the Pistolier. So another little Kroot cowboy here. He's got dual pistols. Dude. Yeah, I love the model. I love the action pose of just about to grab the pistol out. It's very cool. So, 2 options for their pistols. They've got the focused and the salvo. The only difference being the special rules. Both are 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4. They're both range 8. The difference is one has ceaseless and lethal 5 up. That's the focused. And then the salvo has a special rule called salvo, which basically lets you select up to 2 valid targets, shoot with this weapon against both of them in any order of your choice. Roll each sequence separately. Not bad. I know you lose the special rules, but that's 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/4. Not bad. Into some squishy boys, that you potentially could be dropping 2 right there. You've also got quick draw, which is the other special rule. Once per turning point when this operative is performing the shoot action, and this operative is selected as a valid target for it, or it will be the secondary from blast. If this operative is ready, you can interrupt that action to use this rule. If you do, this operative can immediately perform a shoot action with its dual Kroot pistols focused against that enemy operative. You can change its order to engage to do so, Rust. That's for you. And that enemy must be a valid target. So quite a few hoops to jump through because your weapon is also only range 8.
Yes.
You've got to be getting targeted. There's a bit, your opponent can definitely work around this. But in the right situation, you get to shoot first.
I was going to say it's pretty, and the thing is, with the change to how prey and their rules work, it used to be accurate. Basically, you can engineer it so that both your focused and salvo profiles have ceaseless, because you can get balanced and then have ceaseless, so you can effectively make 2 lots of ceaseless shooting attacks, which is like. It's a bit of a cheeky way of updating him because just giving him, it is just if they haven't moved. So if he hasn't moved,
yes,
he can. I guess it's. Is he going to be stationary? But he might be.
Well, and again, depending if he's near an objective in the right spot, you've pushed him up, or I want to be interesting things like interactions with guard as well, because special ammo, we know the special ammo does work on the focus profile of his pistols as well. So you are also able to add P1 and toxin, the toxin shot as well. So that's it. This could be a very, very powerful operative. I still think the range 8 obviously hurts. Your opponent can work around it, but ITD stuff like that, I can see them doing some work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid. I think the shooting first is enough for him to be in your team.
Yes.
It's something that, and anything else that your opponent has to think about to give them a little bit of headache is obviously going to be useful. And the fact that he can just be like, you decided to shoot him, are you shooting first? Yeah. Like, it's great. Definitely in the team. Yeah.
Awesome. He's in. Pistolier. Made the cut. All right. Now we're on to our last 2 specialists. We've got another of our close combat specialists here, close range specialist, I should say, really. It's the Kroot Stalker. He's got a Kroot scattergun. So this is basically like their version of a shotgun. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/3, range 6. So pretty not good. Too bad. And then the Stalker's Blades, which is where he comes into his own. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4, balanced already, and rending.
And charge from conceal.
This operative has the charge from conceal. There it is. We found it. Now I get why the other one doesn't have it. So great counter charge unit here. That position just back a little bit. Great threat. There's also for 2 APL here, stealth attack. Perform a free charge action with this operative, but don't exceed its move stat. So obviously charging 6 maximum, which is interesting. Then immediately perform a free fight action with this operative. The first time you strike during that activation, you can immediately resolve another of your successes as a strike before your opponent. So not bad. This operative cannot perform this action while it has an engage order. That's interesting. Okay. Or within control range, or if it isn't within 1 inch of light or heavy terrain. Interesting.
So it's creeping around buildings, but potentially between 6 and 8 damage. Being able to slam that through before your opponent gets to do anything. I mean, again, perfect for those low wound count models. I mean, not that it's not good against an elite,
but it's really comes to its own against the squishies.
Yeah, because then you can charge, kill something, and then still be in conceal. Whereas I don't think there's much of a chance you kill an elite with this guy. Even if you go up to 5 attacks, unless you roll really bad, unless they roll badly and you roll well, you'll do 8.
Yeah,
like maybe 12 damage before they maybe, you know what, if you roll all crits you might kill, but that's a tall order.
Yes,
you probably don't kill.
Look, that's how I play all my games. I only roll crits. I don't muck around. Why would I roll normals if I don't have to?
But there's a solid chance if you're not injured you do 12 damage again. If you've rolled incredibly obnoxiously well, that's a decent amount of damage to put through. But obviously if you're into a horde 7-8 wounds, you can reliably sneak in, kill him, and not be targetable. they still have to come close to you. And then if they're coming to shoot you, you're in cover, well, they'd have to be within 2 inches. So, but yeah, decent for you. Yeah. He's a good operative. I like him.
And I do love it's one of my favorite types of operative have is that counter, that great counter charge unit that's in conceal. Just the threat, as you said, again, just gives your opponent another little headache, another little thing to think about that, wait, that guy can do that. There's not much they can do until it gets to strike. Then we get the Kroot tracker, another animal friend.
One of the original birds.
Yes, it is.
One of the original birds.
Oh. Equipped pretty standardly here, just the Kroot rifle and the blade, but obviously this guy's special ability is bird powers. He's got marked for the hunt, so this is a 1 AP action. You've got basically, speaking of extra markers,
mark hunt.
we need an extra marker here, not mark hunt. And then basically we place this marker visible to this operative or on a vantage terrain or a terrain feature that's visible to this operative. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting an enemy operative that has that marker within its control range, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the Seek Light weapon rule. At the start of this operative's next activation, or if it's removed from the kill zone, whichever comes first, remove your token from the kill zone. Yeah. So this is basically... sorry, go on, Ross.
No, I was going to say this is, I think the best use for this is because there's so much heavy in Volkers. This is a great thing to put on those vantages. Those 2 buildings that either the top barricades are light or the floor is light. And you just be like, okay, I'm going to pop it on that building early doors. And you just know your opponent can't use it as a vantage for shooting then. Or they can, but you're then going to be able to get Seek Light against them. So they can't do it turn 1. They can't hide up there reliably. So I think... almost as an early activation, you can try to, if you want them not to go up there, you can deterrent advantage and be like, don't even go up there. Or you can keep it, save it. So save this guy, your heavy tribalist and your marksman, and be like, I'll wait until he puts someone up there on conceal, ready to try and do something. And then I'm like, boop. Now I've got Seek Light and that light terrain you're behind. You're now going to get shot by the silent, devastating 3. And if that hasn't killed you, the tribalist is then going to take a pop, and maybe you've set them up in a position where they haven't moved or not, but it's sort of like you can take a couple of shots quite comfortably. So I think it's a good move to be able to either say, I don't want you up on that, stay down. Like if you don't want them up there with bandage shooting, you can say, don't go up there because I'll have Seek Light, and then it's a threat. Because honestly, depending on who you're playing against, if they got decent armor, your threat's not great. Or wait and have it as a trap and be like, okay, the bird goes there. I've got Seek Light. I'm going to take a couple of pot shots at your guy behind that terrain. I think it's a decent ability to have, especially on the only place you can really use it on Volkers is going to be those 2 vantages because there's so much heavy.
It seems that's probably the only thing. It seems like it's not necessarily a huge offensive weapon. It's nearly area denial. It's like, you're going to try and put an opponent on a you got someone on advantage for the whole time. I'm just going to pop this token here, and now you're either going to you can stay there and you're going to get shot, or you can not risk coming up there. So it's interesting. It's not crazily powerful, but I mean I do like unlimited range. It's just line of sight. Not too bad. The other one we've got as well is From the Eye Above, another 1 APL action. Select one other friendly Farstalker operative within 6 inches. This operative, until the end, that operative has +1 APL.
Classic comms.
Classic comms.
Classic comms.
I also don't mind too with this guy being a bit of a tech piece, using both his APL to do those things.
Yeah.
Pop a marker up.
You can do them both from conceal. Why not?
Someone up and stay in conceal. Makes him. And then, by maybe later in the battle when you need more bodies, then he kind of just becomes a bit of a regular Kroot warrior. He's got the same stats and all that stuff. But early doors, having another way to get APL.
Yeah. And then flies away.
Yeah. Into the sunset. All right.
Options.
So I think, again, just purely based on the fact that the Kroot tracker has that APL thing too. Like that means that alone means you're taking them,
100%. You got to take the comms.
Then we come to the final, the Kroot warrior. you do have choices with this operative. You do have the Kroot rifle, the Kroot scattergun. So the scattergun effectively being the shotgun equivalent.
Where are you landing on the guns? I'm not sure.
Hitting one better is nice, but range 6 is again, it's range 6, not range 8. Range 6. I just feel like with these guys, and I might be wrong, this is a feel purely reading their rules, that you're wanting to maintain that distance. You're wanting to keep back and as much as possible. And if you are using the scatter gun, you know, that means you're potentially denying a lot of shots each turn, especially early doors while the board's spread out. I might be wrong. There might be someone running all scatter guns. But
I think how you say it makes sense to me. I think it depends on how you play Kroot, and you'll know after a couple of games, because I think if you're going to play it more gunliney, and the thing is, I think you can play it a little bit more gunliney now with the fact that Prey gives you balance and ceaseless. Well, not balance, but if you've got balance, you're now ceaseless. So I kind of think I could see the benefit of the Kroot rifles. 4 attacks hit on 4s, maybe end up with 3 shots, 2 at 3-4. I mean, you're not going to do much into a Space Marine, but you never were. And that might kill.
Nothing's changed.
You know, that's not, but you might quite comfortably kill a Horde model at 7 to 8 wounds with 2 shots. Whereas the whole problem is you're not trying to kill the Space Marine, you're trying to hit him with a lethal 5 so that your toxin shot retains a stun.
Yeah.
So maybe you want the range on that, because you, like you say, you don't want to get too close, because then it won't matter. He'll still be able to charge and fight you.
He's still going to be able to charge and bop you in the face. But if you got that distance, and as you sort of touched on there, these guys, their special rule is ready for anything. So once per turning point during a friendly operative activation, you can use meat, piercing, or toxic shot rules for free. Not bad. It also, doing so doesn't count for its once per turning point limit either. So interesting. So obviously it's like basically by taking the warriors, you're getting free extra toxin shots, piercing shots. You're even getting meat. If you do need an emergency heal, as much as we maligned it, if you're getting it for free, now we're
it's good if it's free.
Maybe
a special discount.
Yeah. So again, being able to all of a sudden get some AP on your weapons, being able to, as you were saying, deal out stun on lethal 5 up, being able to heal that for free, that's great. The 4 up obviously hurts a little bit, but we do know that there are ways to add, shooting benefits, standing still, victory shriek, all that sort of stuff. So, I think this is going to be the tough part, because it's once you add on all the specialists, now it's how many warriors and how many Kroot hounds. That's the big trade-off. Congratulations, Lap Scallion, on your watch streak. Lap is currently on a 7-watch stream streak. So thank you very much for joining us for 7 in a row. We won't tell your boss. It's absolutely fine. It's between us. It's technically work research. So anyone, if you need that excuse, this is work research. So now we need to have a bit of a look. So we've got, what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is 8 specialists, including a heavy gunner. We need to have 11 operatives. And then we need to go. So does that mean we're taking 3 warriors, 2 hounds, 1 warrior? What are we thinking? I'm leaning towards 2 hounds.
I think it's going to depend how you decide to run your tac ops.
Yes.
But that being said, I think even if you go the aggressive way into an elite team, I think hounds still have a place. Yes. Because I think what you can use, because obviously Linford mentioned it as well, plant beacons, great choice for the hounds. Recover item, I think possibly also good, although I don't really like recover item, but options.
It's possible.
It's possible. But you can also, into your elites, you could use your doggos, because they've got a hell of a charge, 10-inch charge. You could use your doggos to set up early Vengeance for the Kinbands against an elite player. You could charge into an operative that's a bit forward. That's obviously going to be their turn two charge. Charge in, hit, get killed. Vengeance for the Kinband. So you've got early relentless ready to go.
Vengeance missiles.
Yeah, basically vengeance missiles and chip damage. So because you should hit with maybe 8 damage, 3-4 between 6 and 8 damage.
Yeah.
And then if you've got relentless, and if you get the turn, hell, you could run in with the next dog. Maybe you kill it with the dog, and that's a good kill for the dogs. But yeah,
Lap
I can
just said
kind of
John
see
Wick the Kroot. I like
John
it.
Wick the Kroot. You know, that's what it is. You go in, they kill your dog, and everyone's like, "Well, it was
John Wicked."
Yeah, I used to know that guy until he started eating all that dog, and now he's arguably a bit rubbish, but still sad that he's dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Wick the dog. So I think they're solid. Just that much maneuverability is really useful for a team.
So I've been taking notes as we've been talking this through, Russ, and we need to wrap this up. So this is my plan. This is where I've landed with this. We're going to have our leader. They're going to have the pulse carbine because that's what it's modeled with.
Fun. It's fun. Plus, you've got a lot of rerolls.
Exactly. And I think there's ways to, because I'm pretty sure you could do the victory shriek on yourself as well when you get the. So we could do that. We're going to have the bow hunter. We've got a cold blood, cut skin. We're going to go the tri-blast on the heavy gunner. We've got the long shot, pistolier, stalker, and the tracker. And then our last 3 spots, spots, this is going for a long time. We've got hound, and a warrior.
I like it. What's the loadout for the warrior?
And the warrior's taking the traditional rifle. Because we're going to keep that. We're going to go that long range. We're going to also go for plant beacons as our thing. Because I think we're correct in the sense. I do like confirmed kill. But I also, and this happened to me the other week actually, where it was that thing, it was like you do go into it, you go, all I need to do is kill 1 a turn. But sometimes that doesn't go right into elites. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Just word of warning. This is why we're doing this live. Kroot hounds can't plant beacons because the mission action isn't in the hound's list of approved actions.
Isn't it place marker?
I don't know. I like that there's some controversy though.
No, plant beacon is its own. I thought it was place marker.
Action.
Yeah, plant beacon is its own thing. Yeah, I thought it was just place marker, but it's not.
Well, that ruins everything. Thanks a lot,
Ruined your plans, buddy.
Linford Gross, exactly. There we go. Wow. Well, that takes us back to plan B. Just as I was saying, I don't want to do confirmed kill. Maybe it has to be confirmed kill. That is a gotcha lap. That's terrible. Not a fan of that. So... yeah, because what have we got? Let's quickly just swap screens for a sec. I'm going to go here. We've got infiltration and recon. Let's just bring them up.
Oh, yeah. So you got implant, which isn't bad.
Yeah, implant I don't mind, but again, it's like...
can't do it from retaliate, so you got to bear in mind you've got to be aggressive with it. So you've got to be starting combat, and you've got to be within 6 inches. So if you do that, you might as well go scatter cannons and go aggressive.
Yeah.
So...
I can't bring them up. It's fine. We'll do it another time. I think it's going to be confirmed kill from what I remember.
Yeah. I mean, you can still do plant beacons. You've got bounds, so your operatives are still pretty fast.
Yeah. And then you just then change your Kroot hounds to be, as you said, our John Wick missiles. They just change their role.
Hounds of Vengeance.
The Hounds of Vengeance. But yeah, so we do that. I'm pretty happy with that. Andy asked a good question. I wonder if that's on purpose, the hounds not being able to do it, or if it's just like a miss. You know, like we changed this rule or we created this, but we forgot to add it to the hounds.
It feels like fetch beacons.
Yeah.
Would be accurate, but yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. You know what? It has actually helped a lot doing this to go through. I feel a lot more confident with the team now. I just need to get some reps in, need to get them on the table. But I think it was definitely, so hounds can fetch items and confirm kills. So I was going to say,
do you know what's a good thing? A good thing for confirm kill with those operatives is quite a lot of the times you will kill something, but your own operative will die. Whereas having a hound being able to move 10 inches with a move and a dash and land on an objective is pretty useful.
That's kind of how I pictured
land on those confirmed kills. Yeah, I think having the mid board to follow up kills, or maybe even get the last 3 wounds and just stay on the confirmed kill, but you ideally want them to be on it and conceal, mopping up those what you call it, because with bound, those guys are reliably going to be a 10-inch move and dash. Oh no, more 11-inch move and dash, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I do, as much as I joke and I was about to malign it, only because I had some trouble killing some Space Marines. I can't let that one bad experience dictate. But I do want to have that mentality that, like, I know that there's definitely a lot to be said for swapping and changing things to match your opponent. Absolutely. But I'm also very big on, because you are playing so many games in such a small period of time, simplifying the rules. And especially for me, because this team is still quite new, there's enough to remember of who's got balanced and who's got this and who's got that and which things to use. I'd rather minimize that. And that's same as why the equipment, to me, is also, I'm probably just going to stick with the pierce, the toxin shots, take the trophy, and I'll probably look at, some form of grenades. Maybe that might be the only thing I'll do match dependent, whether it's crack or frag.
Well, bear in mind,
hounds can't throw grenades.
Well, yeah, they can't throw grenades, but what are you going to do for your reposition? Because with, I think, 12 operatives, sometimes it's quite hard to fit them all behind heavy cover to deploy.
Ooh, so you think maybe
bear in mind when you're deploying, you might need a hairy barricade. So either you're going to have to take that as part of your scouting, or take it as to begin with.
Ooh, that's a good tip. I like this, because you're right, 12 operatives is a lot to try and get everyone somewhere safe.
Have a think, but you don't want to group up too hard.
Yeah.
And you do, and you might get not the good choice. You might get second choice on board side. So you might be wanting to, you can always take it as part of the scouting phase. So you leave it open and give your opponent a little bit of there's some free targets there. And then you drop a barricade.
Psych.
Drop a heavy barricade. But bear in mind.
Yeah, because maybe that's your swing equipment. Because again, you're like, I probably don't need heavy on something like ITD, because obviously I'm going to get my hidden deployment. But that maybe on those other ones, you keep it the same, but then you go, well, I'm going to go extra equipment as my thing, because I'll need the barricade to hide behind, to cower behind. Nice. Well, that's it. I'm calling it there. That was a really, really great in-depth rundown of the Kroot. I hope if anyone out there who is looking to play the Kroot does play the Kroot, obviously this is going to go up as a VOD on YouTube. Chuck in the comments, join the Battle Brothers Tabletop Discord, share your thoughts on Kroot. I would love to hear any more advice or tips. We're on, obviously, roaming around that Discord as well, so we will see it and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for the chat.